What if I told you that intentional slowness is actually the highest speed that you can attain? Because we obsess over these external timelines, but these external expectations and judgments of society, they don't take our unique rhythms into account. And this creates a false sense of success, of failure, false sense of winning or being ahead or being behind, because we're judging ourselves based on external things and not how we were internally created to function. So when we dismantle these artificial deadlines, we transform those quiet seasons into a catalyst for something much bigger, something much more meaningful in our lives, because we're not comparing ourselves to others, but we're looking inwards and we're actually seeing what we need uniquely, what we need to make a real impact on this world. So those quiet seasons become the very fuel for our greatest breakthroughs. When you open up your social media, you notice that there's almost this pressure to be doing something. Everyone's working towards a goal. It looks like everyone has the same goal and everyone's building something, working on something, and there's this constant anxiety, constant pressure. It feels like this now or never thing where if you're not part of this, you're missing out. We see people's highlight reels of what they're working on and what their days are like and everything going on. And this starts to build that perception in your mind that you're falling behind, or if you're not doing what everyone else is doing, then you're missing out. But how true is this when you really ask if everyone is on the exact same path? How is it possible that everyone has the same exact purpose or everyone is supposed to follow the same exact path when we all have the same milestone? At this age, I should have accomplished this. In 6 months, I should do this. This person achieved this level of success in this amount of time. So if I give myself this amount of time, then I should have this same exact success. So we have these standardized milestones that we measure our lives based off of. So we start to compare our lives with other people's lives, and we can see someone's at this level and it looks like you're here, it looks like you're behind, it looks like you're failing. But the thing is that these are external measures of growth. They don't measure your internal growth. They don't measure other people's internal growth. They don't account for the internal workings of the mind. Yet, this is the most important thing, the most important factor in determining how aligned with your purpose you are. Because you cannot take on everyone else's journey or purpose. You have to spend the time to find out what you're on this earth for. Why are you here? And what is the path that you need to take? But if you're constantly running towards the same things that everyone's running towards, you're trying to start an AI thing just like everyone else, or trying to just follow the next shiny object, then it becomes really difficult to do that internal work and find out what you're here for. It becomes a distraction. The very desire to be successful becomes a distraction in and of itself. So when you reframe this feeling of being stuck, sometimes our minds fight against the pressures of this world, or just I like to call it peer pressure. This is like adult peer pressure, because you don't have to do what everyone else is doing and your mind knows that, and so it fights back and you feel stuck because you want to do what everyone else is doing, but you can't bring yourself to do it, and you feel like an imposter. Maybe you feel like an imposter because you really shouldn't be doing that, but it is possible that it's something that you should be doing and you have cold feet. But there's a difference between knowing that truly this is not what you're here for. This is not your purpose. You're doing this just because everyone else is doing it. There's a difference between that and knowing that you really want to do something, but feeling that you're not good enough to do it. That's different. Now, what I'm talking about here is you don't know, you have no clue what you're supposed to be doing, but you're doing everything just because everyone else is doing it. You feel stuck because maybe you haven't taken that time to discover yourself. Maybe when you are intentionally more laid back, intentionally more curious about your own mind and about your own purpose, trying to get to know yourself better, then you will start to find your true purpose in this world. Constant visible motion does not equate to progress. Just because people are doing so much stuff doesn't mean that they're fulfilling their life's purpose. It doesn't mean that they feel fulfilled. And that's why you find people that even achieve these external measures of success, like becoming rich externally, having a very built physique, but still feel empty because these things are good, but they're not the main thing. They're not the primary reason for being here, being in this world and being on this earth. There's something I like to call the incubation period. And this is one of the most important phases that you can go through, that everyone should go through. But a lot of people like to skip through this phase. The incubation period is where the most vital shifts happen in a person beneath the surface of daily life. So this is not what everyone sees, but this is when you're incubating your ideas, you're processing, and you're trying to understand and dig deeper into who you are. And you're incubating your ideas, you're incubating your purpose, you're trying to understand your place in this world. And it looks like nothing is happening. It looks like you're not making progress. It looks like you're falling behind. But this is what often happens when it looks like someone just springs out of nowhere and suddenly is successful. Maybe they took the time to incubate. They took the time to process, because constantly doing new stuff and doing things all the time doesn't equate to success. There is a type of growth that happens silently, quietly, where it isn't really documented. No one's seeing it, but it's happening. That's the silent growth that leads to real results, real impact, real change. So how can you effectively have these incubation periods? How can you discover yourself? How can you find your purpose in this world? Number one is you need to think deep about what are the things that truly excite you? What are the things that you wish you could do? And you just know that if you knew how to do this thing, or if you could do this thing effectively, you would be able to make a difference. Even if you cannot fathom doing it right now, maybe it's through music that you want to impact this world, or it's through philosophy, or it's through writing, or it's through acting, whatever it is, but it's something you've just always imagined, but you thought, I'm not sure I can do this. Allow yourself to imagine you in that place where you feel that you can make the most impact, where you feel that your life could possibly have the most meaning. What's the thing that you keep going back to? Even when you're not there right now, you don't have the skills right now, you don't have the opportunities right now, but you keep going back to envisioning yourself, and you keep trying to remind yourself that, this, be realistic. You tell yourself to be realistic. What are the things that you keep going back to? Number two, how can you get yourself closer to achieving that thing or to doing that thing? How can you use what you have right now to get closer to your big dream? Let's say you want to become an actor. With the resources you have right now, and with the equipment, with the opportunities you have right now, how can you create more opportunities in line with exactly what you're supposed to be doing? And why I said that purpose is important, understanding what really moves your heart is important, is everything that you do to work towards that big dream immediately becomes purposeful when you know what that dream is, and then you start to work towards it. But everything else that you do just so that it doesn't feel like you're behind or you're falling behind makes you feel stressed out, and it's basically wasted efforts, wasted energy, because it doesn't feel like you're making a real impact. Even if you do achieve the success in that area that you're not really made to do, still feels empty. It feels like there's no real meaning to it. But I'm not saying that you should limit your dreams and your ambitions, but just make sure that everything you're spending your time, your energy working towards is truly something that makes a difference in your life and in the life of others. Taking the time to build in silence doesn't put you behind. It actually skyrockets success when you eventually implement. But you have to take the time to get to know yourself. You have to take the time to plan and make very calculated, meaningful steps. Do the work that makes you happy. Do the work that gives you real purpose in this life. You don't have to do what everyone else is doing. Find your why. Ikigai is what the Japanese call it. So find your meaning and your purpose in this life, and you'll start to discover that everything you do will feel so much more meaningful. So you're not behind, but you've probably bought the lie that everyone has to move quickly and has to measure themselves with these external parameters of success. You don't have to. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.